graduated from IIT-BHU, computer science, 1995 to 1999, and after that, as was popular then, got a job from the campus in a company called Settle, which later renamed itself to iFlex. Stayed there with iFlex for 3 years, and by incident got a job in Delhi in a startup, which was a 25 people company. That was my first trust with startup. Started working in the startup, really enjoyed the environment there. It was 25 people company that grew very, very fast. Now it is around 7,000 people in this startup or in this company now. But we decided that a couple of friends of ours that we could run another company, and I and a friend of mine from IIT Kanpur started Lime Labs in India, which was funded by one of the founders of Lime Buyer and Lime Brokerage. We ran that for 5 years, built a couple of products, learned a lot about how to run companies, how to run internet and tech businesses. Unfortunately, in 2008, 2009, we had to shut down the company because LimeWire was sued by RIA, and we couldn't raise funding anymore. I started another company in education domain for a year. Again, shut it down within 8 to 9 months. So I have a very good experience of failure as well, starting companies, building products, and shutting them down. After 2010, 2011, when I shut down my education venture, I decided to look for a job, and I approached an acquaintance of mine who was CEO of Times Internet and asked him whether he had something to offer. Incidentally, it was Tlabs. He said he's had an idea around helping young entrepreneurs and helping young companies grow, and that's how Tlabs was started. I joined Times Internet, a company of Times Group, and started to help young entrepreneurs in 2011. It's been 5 years. Tlabs has grown leaps and bounds. We have 52 companies in our portfolio. When we started out, we were learning ourselves. The companies were learning, and we created a program for young entrepreneurs in tech and media industry to grow. Later on, we funded companies in almost each and every domain. We have a very good successful ratio. Almost 65% of the companies that go through the Tlabs program are successful, have successfully raised funding from VC investors as well as angels. Almost 85% of the companies are still alive. We have had 7 acquisitions so far, 7 exits so far, with companies almost the market cap of around $200 million, which is, if you compare it with any data for accelerators, this is one of the best in India and in the Bay Area as well. So we have had a very good success with helping companies. I would come to how we help companies. In Tlabs, we receive application from young entrepreneurs who have made a product, who are solving a problem, are at an MVP stage. We take these entrepreneurs at an MVP stage, understand their business, and then we try to build the right kind of strategy and product market fit. The first 1.5 months are spent in doing a lot of interviews with the potential customers, figuring out the right personas who could be the target market, understanding the target market, understanding what are the challenges this startup is facing, helping them with product, technology, building the right user experience, and then deciding how they would go and launch in the market. For B2B companies, we help them connect to corporations who could be their customers, startups who could be their customers. For B2C companies, we have offline methods of reaching out to the first 100, 500 customers, and then using online channels to scale it from there. Once the product market fit is defined and it is verified, it's always a evolution process of experimentation and getting to the right product. If the startup is solving the right problem and the solution is right, and the solution obviously continues to evolve, if they get to the right solution, the chances that they will be successful is very high. what I continue to keep saying is that if you have understood the problem and if you have gotten the solution, if there is clarity in thought of the entrepreneurs, they're more likely to succeed than fail. What I tell also entrepreneurs and young guys who are running startups is that you should not come in with thinking that you will become something. If you're passionate about a problem, if you want to solve a problem, and you have the right approach for solution, that's the recipe for success. So you have to keep thinking about what you are doing for the customers and what is the problem you're solving for the customer, rather than what you have to become by doing a startup, which has been a fad these days. So continue to build products that are solving a problem, a pain point. Continue to take feedback from your consumers, from your customers. Continue to keep doing focus group. Continue to keep doing reaching out to people and doing the right user experience. And the business is not far away. You will start to monetize your consumers and you will start to charge your customers. Never be afraid of failures. Always try to experiment fast enough. With startups, the unique thing is that they have very little time and a very little money. They have to get to the right solution quickly. And the only way to do it is experiment very, very fast. Fail with the assumptions, fail fast, the assumptions that you think there are. Try as many experiments as you can till you get to the right strategy. And while you are doing this, continue to talk to your customers, continue to understand your customers. Psychology is a very, very important thing. Understanding psychology of your customers, of your vendors, of your partners will help you get to the right solution, will help you get to the success, will make your business successful. So understand your customers, get to the right product market fit, and scaling is not that big a challenge if you get clarity of thought. Within 4 months, most of the Tlabs startups, and I'm proud to say that, get that clarity of thought, and the only reason left is to scale. They get very good traction as well in these 4 to 6 months, and that's why almost more than 65% of the startups have raised money of more than 600k, 700k to up to $1 million. So I would like to talk a little bit more about the structure of Tlabs. We invest almost 30 lakhs in each startup for 8% of equity for running this program where we help them get to the right product market fit. After that, as I earlier said, almost 65% of the startups continue to raise, and we have had very good successful companies come out of Tlabs that are doing fairly well. You can't still call them successful. There's a lot to cover. But if you look at a few companies like InShots that has done well, GradeUp that has done well, Happy that has done well, Viduli, Pratilipi, ePathshala, and a bunch of other companies that continue to do well. When they graduate from Tlabs, most startups within 3 to 4 months, 5 months raise seed investment either from angel investors or institutional investors. There is always a question in people's mind: how do we approach angel investors? Where we find an angel investor, and what is an angel investor? So typically, the cycle of investments and fundraisers that you will first money that you will raise from is your friends, family, and fools. They are jokingly called fools because they don't invest in a business model; they invest in you. They will put money in you because either you are a family member, or either you are a friend or an older colleague that you have worked with and he has some money and would like to support you. And these colleagues and people who have been in the startup ecosystem, who have made companies, people who understand technology, people who understand startups, also continue to invest. These are individuals who invest of their savings or of their exits that they have had in the past. These are called angel investors. Typically, angel investor will be somebody who already knows you and he will put the first check in you. But these days you would find that angel investors also are part of networks that help streamline the entire process of finding startups and funding startups. So there's India Angel Network, Mumbai Angel Network, Hyderabad Angel Network, and so on and so forth. Also, there are very, very active angels who continue to find deal flow and invest in startups. So it's very easy to find angels, these days. There are angel groups such as, Let's Venture and Angel List in the US, where there's a lot of angels. So startups can apply to those groups and find angel investors if they find that, some of the angel investors find that there is value in the startup, these guys are doing something that is a problem worth solving, you can get investment easily. Another question that is asked is bootstrap versus investment. What my personal opinion about that is, you should always try to bootstrap your business till you achieve traction, and should not get investment very, very early on. Investment comes with a little bit of baggage. You will have sometimes good investors, sometimes bad investors, and that goes with institutional as well as angel investors. So always try to bootstrap if you can, till you achieve very good traction, and then raise funds. It always helps people that come on board your company, whether they are angel investors or whether they are institutional investors, help your companies grow and scale. So after a point, obviously your network will be limited, but these people add more network, more access to customers. They have different thought process, different opinion about what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. They have a vast experience running other companies and seeing other companies grow, and all of this combined can help your startups as well. So bootstrap to a point where you start to get good traction, and once you need to expand, I think take on very good angel investors and institutional investors on board, and they would be willing to come on board the company if it's a large problem that you're solving, if it's in a large market and you have good traction. What else?
Can you explain the bootstrap a little bit? What is bootstrap? How it works?
Bootstrapping is nothing but simply putting your own money to run the company without raising any kind of external investments. The way to do that is, sometimes put your savings, sometimes borrow money from your parents, your siblings, your uncle, auntie, but running very, very lean in those very few lakh rupees, 2 to 10 lakh rupees sometimes people borrow, and run for almost a year by solving the problem, building the product, getting to the right product market, and in sometimes they get to a very good traction, and sometimes if it's a B2B company that is solving the right problem, they also get to profitability by just bootstrapping. So tech startups are different. You need less money. There's very, very the ecosystem is so evolved right now that with 2 to 3 lakhs you can really start a company, but some companies need more money to start. For example, hardware startup, IoT startups, they need more money to start. Very hard to get bootstrap in those scenarios, but still, if you have savings, if there are people who are your immediate family willing to fund you, I would still call that bootstrapping. Also, there is, if you are an early stage company who has built an MVP, you can approach incubators and accelerators. There are a lot of institutional incubators and accelerators these days that have come up. The way to divide incubators and accelerators are that incubators sometimes do not put money, sometimes they do. Incubators are always long-term programs, whereas accelerators are in cohorts. Accelerators work more as a VC investor, where they put money, take equity. Incubator may or may not take equity. And incubators are generally associated with government organization or universities, which is taking part of the operations, where accelerators could be run by a fund, by a set of LPs and GPs, or could be run by a corporate. Always try to figure out when you want to apply to an incubator and accelerators of what are the companies that have graduated from that incubator or that accelerators. How have the companies done? Always talk to the alumni of those incubator and accelerator and get a feedback from how the partners work with your companies to get a fair idea of what you have. Have a very set of defined goals in your mind that you want to achieve if you are approaching an incubator accelerator. Most of the accelerators open their application in a 6 months process. With Tlabs, currently we take monthly applications. You can go to tlabs.in and apply. There is an apply button. You can apply and apply to being accepted in Tlabs, and we will look at your applications every end of month. And if we find that it is something good, if we believe in the founders, we'll call you for a couple of interviews. Most accelerators have this selection process that lasts somewhere around a month or so. There are also co-working spaces, and I would strongly suggest people to work from co-working spaces or incubators, because then you are interacting with a lot of like-minded people. It helps you network, it helps you participate in different activities that will help you with your startup. Working alone from a garage or from your own house gets you to a position where you feel frustrated fast. So always try to be in the midst of people who are like-minded and who are working on their own startup. You will achieve much more by the knowledge of the group knowledge and self-help and help from colleagues and peers, rather than just living in your garage or living in your apartment. For aspiring entrepreneurs, I have a lot of suggestions. If you are in college and you think that the another option for you is not taking a job and becoming an entrepreneur and starting a company, I think you just start early. You should keep thinking about your problem that you are going to solve and keep refining it. Keep talking to a lot of people. What I've seen with early aspiring entrepreneurs is they think that their idea has a lot of value, then they don't share their idea with people who can really help. Idea has very little value. Most of the value is you itself and the execution and how you take that idea to the market. So freely discuss those ideas with people who you think you can help with execution of those ideas. Go to some of those events where you think you can get a little bit of value about how to start a startup, how to kind of get to a product. Talk to a few startups who have started out, maybe your colleagues, maybe people in the community, in the ecosystem, and get a fair idea of how to start and get to the first product. It's always good to find a co-founder, like-minded co-founder who believes in the idea. The 2 or 3 of you, if you can really build a product, and as I said earlier, building a tech product these days is less expensive. It is easy, and a bunch of engineers, programmers really can do it. Once you have built a product, what I would say is approach a lot of people who could be your potential customers and users and show it to them. So aspiring entrepreneurs, should prepare themselves upfront, talk to a lot of people who have started up, who are doing startups, visit a few networking events and find like-minded people around them who want to start up. Failure is a part of life. I believe no matter what, there are more chances that you will fail, and you should accept that and move on. In fact, what we tell entrepreneurs is that fail fast, and since it's a series, we believe it's a series of experiments that leads up to a right business model. You have to do those experiments and fail fast and keep moving towards the right experiments with the knowledge and feedback that you have gained from that failed experiment. When you're talking about large failure, I say that it's not a failure, it's a step towards the right model. Some people fail big and they never come back, but what I've seen is entrepreneurs who are very gritty, who have the right attitude, fail and pick up the broken pieces, put them together and get right back. There will be definitely, speaking from experience, from my own journey, from the journeys I've seen, of my 52 companies, one of the most successful company in the portfolio who actually quit almost 3 times before they went onto a successful model. They came to me when the co-founder broke up. They wanted to shut down the company. Luckily the guy found another co-founder who was willing to work hard with him. They came to me when first experiment failed. They wanted to shut down. I told them to do certain more experiments, and one of them succeeded. They almost came to me, last time when the product was shutting down. fortunately we found a good home for them, money for them to experiment, and they have a very successful business right now. So I'm not saying this will be the story of everybody. All I'm saying is, if you are consistent and persistent enough to find the right model, you will. You all know Thomas Alva Edison. He failed 1,000 times before he got into the created his light bulb. And I think what he said was absolutely right. I haven't failed 1,000 times. I just find another way that will work. So you have to continue to experiment and just learn from the failure and grow towards success. Every failure is a step towards a success. It's nothing more than that. Learn from your failures rather than being frustrated from your failures. Come back to, most entrepreneurs I've seen who have failed multiple times, who failed a couple of times, are better coaches and who can lead and coach entrepreneurs and mentor entrepreneurs in a much better way than successful entrepreneurs. How to handle success, I wouldn't know that. But I would say, if you have succeeded in doing something, just be humble. Just respect others who have been along within your journey. Share your wealth. Help others in the community and ecosystem to grow from the knowledge that you have gained. And probably that's it. And build another company.